The names of the most popular members of the royal family have become known. You may be surprised by the results. The year 2023 is upon us. It's a good time to take stock and find out who has become the most popular member of the British royal family. At different times the leaders were the late Queen Elizabeth II and other British monarchy. In early 2022, according to the results of a sociological survey by Ipsos Mori, the first place was taken by Elizabeth II. First of all, this was due to the fact that Her Majesty celebrated 70 years of her reign. However, at the end of the year the results changed. According to the publication Hello, the most popular were Princess Catherine of Wales and her daughter Princess Charlotte. Publications with them and social networks gathered the largest number of likes and comments. And it is clear why. The Princess of Wales has long earned the people's love. She is sweet and charming. The Duchess of Cambridge is doing an excellent job as royalty, and her impeccable manners and style are an example for many people. 7-year-old Princess Charlotte has also charmed subjects and internet users with her social skills. Last year, the young princess often attended official events with her parents. And many people in the network noted that despite her young age, Charlotte has excellent manners, and she is growing up to be a copy of her great-grandmother. Meanwhile, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have dramatically lost their popularity after the release of the scandalous series called Harry and Meghan. According to sources, only 33% of Britons have a positive attitude toward the Sussexes. Since the fall of 2022, the younger prince's rating has fallen by as much as 13%. The Prince and Princess of Wales got an Aston Martin at their disposal. William and Catherine test drove the fastest SUV in the world. The heir to the British throne gave his wife a James Bond-style weekend after he was handed a first-class Aston Martin for a test drive. The Prince of Wales drove around Norfolk in an Aston Martin, which was one of thousands of cars that came off the assembly line at the plant in South Wales. The enterprise was created 4 years ago, and it employed almost 1,000 people. King Charles III, at that time Prince Charles, took part in its opening. The £189,000 luxury SUV is the first production car made in Welsh for more than 50 years. The delivery of the car was an operation worthy of the Secret Service in itself. It was very secretive. William was seen driving the car, rushing along the narrow, winding country roads of North Norfolk. It is no coincidence that the car was built in Wales by Welsh workers. William had an Aston for the entire weekend. For a few days he got to experience the life of James Bond. The only difference is that, unlike Agent 007, William had to return the car at the end of the weekend, said a source close to Prince William and Catherine. The Prince of Wales was compared to secret agent James Bond when he wore a green velvet tuxedo to the Earthshot Awards last year. Bond producer Barbara Broccoli joked that William would be perfect for the role of Daniel Craig. James Bond drove 4 different Aston Martins in the movie franchise. The Princess of Wales did not like that as a teenager her eldest son began to adopt the old-fashioned habits of the Windsors. Prince William was born in 1982, a year after his parents' pompous wedding. 2 years later he had a younger brother, and by 1992 his parents were separated. Tensions between the Prince and Princess of Wales over almost everything, and were only known to have ended on the day of their divorce in 1996. This included disputes between Charles and Diana over the upbringing of their sons. Each couple wanted their children to be more like him. In his book The Princesses of William, published in 2006, Robert Jobson describes a typical Windsor occupation that disgusted Diana strongly disapproved of the masculine activities in which Charles encouraged his sons, writes Jobson. She tried to woo them with the excitement of amusement parks with their thrilling rides, but they were also devoted to their father, and genuinely enjoyed the outdoor activities so beloved of the Windsors. The Princess of Wales was not known to be at all fond of the countryside, and was not very successful in the kinds of sports her husband's family favored. But Miss Spencer had tried to pretend, early on in her relationship with Charles, that she shared the prince's interests. Anyway, it was not just jealousy. Diana was worried that her sons were beginning to practice a traditional aristocratic hobby, hunting. William was particularly fond of shooting, something his mother could never reconcile with, cherishing the image of a sensitive son in her heart, writes Robert Jobson. Much to Diana's disgust, he caught his first rabbit at the age of 11. 3 years later, while passionate about the hobby, he killed a deer in Scotland with one shot, literally drenched in blood. Diane decided it would pass and accepted that her eldest son was excited about chasing his prey. The author notes that William's character and habits consisted of contradictions from childhood. This sensitive young man enjoys hunting and fishing, which seem a complete anachronism compared to the flip side of his character, Jobson stresses. Princess Diana's youngest son also enjoyed the aristocratic hobby, until his wife forced him to say goodbye to this cruel habit, and get rid of his hunting rifles. All the British Crown's precious assortment, Duchess Catherine, has consistently chosen just one tiara for the past year. What is it? Simple affection or something more? You can't cheat statistics. In 11 years as British Duchess, we have seen the future Queen Kate wearing just 3 tiaras. The Cartier bridal gala is a strong statement from the wife of Prince William, giving hope that the diamond decoration will now go to her casket. Her Highness wore the lotus flower tiara twice, and it was the first time she wore it after her marriage. It happened during a traditional diplomatic reception at Buckingham Palace in 2013. Then many thought that the lotus flower would become the Duchess of Cambridge's favorite. The tiara is light and unobtrusive, just like a young woman with a great sense of style. And partly the hopes have been fulfilled. In 2015, Her Highness wore it again at a state banquet in honor of China's first couple, but time has shown that neither the halo nor the lotus blossom have been in Catherine's jewelry box for long. The Duchess of Cambridge first wore it to a diplomatic reception on December 8, 2015, and has never changed it for anything else since. Come to think of it, Catherine has attended 5 more such events in those 3 years, and all the time she has chosen the same tiara. When you do the math, the conclusion is obvious. On 6 of the 9 occasions the Duchess appeared at the Knot consistently, regularly, and as if even defiantly. But what exactly does Kate want to say with this choice? To answer this question, let's take a brief history of all 3 pieces. So, the Galo. This decoration was made in 1936 by Cartier and purchased by the Duke of York for his wife Elizabeth, just before his elder brother's scandalous abdication. The Duchess of York eventually became queen and gained unfettered access to the magnificent Windsor treasury. This is why she hardly ever wore this dainty tiara. It was simply that it was soon replaced by a far more distinguished specimen. Elizabeth gave the tiara to her eldest daughter Elizabeth on her 18th birthday, but Lilith never made the decoration stellar either. First, the world was recovering from World War II, and events with a white-tie dress code were few for the royal family, and then Elizabeth herself became queen. The new monarchess began to regularly lend the jewelry to her younger sister, who, however, also soon replaced it with more interesting tiaras. Then, in the 70s, Galo went to Anne. In a word, the tiara Galo has firmly established its reputation as an aperitif, a tiara with which royal ladies began their special jewelry journey. Then there's the lotus flower tiara, also originally owned by Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, but which eventually came into the possession of her youngest daughter Margaret, who never parted with it throughout her life. In other words, the tiara as Elizabeth's offspring grew up simply left the main line of the dynasty. In 1992, it adorned the head of Margaret's daughter-in-law, Serena Stanhope, on her wedding day. And when the princess died, the tiara left the pages of the royal chronicle for a long time. Some even thought the lotus blossom had gone under the hammer, as had Her Highness's other jewels. But, as time has shown, the tiara did make its way back to the crown. The tiara is indeed beautiful, but given Princess Margaret's complicated fate and uneasy reputation, could Catherine have worn her iconic jewel for long? The answer is obvious. And then the Duchess of Cambridge has the Knots of Love, a tiara that immediately showed the world who the future Queen Catherine wishes to associate herself with. Which Windsor woman ever wore the halo and the lotus flower? Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, Princess Margaret, Princess Anne, Serena Stanhope. And who were the owners of the knots? Here is a complete list. Queen Mary of Teck, Queen Elizabeth II, and Princess Diana. This tiara was made in 1913 at the request of King George V's wife, who intended to replicate the tiara of her grandmother Augusta, Duchess of Cambridge, which is why the tiara is so often referred to as the Cambridge Love Knots. Queen Mary loved such design she even dismantled one of her old tiaras for the knots. She kept the piece all her life, and after her death her granddaughter Elizabeth, by then already the new Queen of Great Britain, wore it, albeit reluctantly, although with time she gave it up in favor of other options. The fate of the knots is known to all. Its next owner was Princess Diana herself.